If you only follow the narratives given to you by the mainstream media, you may not be aware of this, but Bernie Sanders has been surging in the early voting states, now taking it over the top in the RCP average for Iowa. So let's take a quick look at these numbers here. So you can see here, really for essentially the first time in at least quite a while, that's Bernie there in, let me make it bigger, that's Bernie there in the light blue. Bernie is taking it over now with a 0.3 lead in Iowa. Now, the poll which sort of took him over the top has it at a three-way tie at 23 points between Sanders, Buttigieg, and Biden. And actually, if you look down at essentially all the polls for Iowa, there aren't really any single poll. There isn't really any single poll which has Bernie over the top. But in the aggregate, he is over the top. And I think that part of what that reflects is that, the other candidates tend to fluctuate a lot more than Bernie. Bernie voters tend to be very consistent. They know they're going to vote for Bernie. And we've seen other polling showing that to be the case where, you ask them, people who claim they're going to vote for Bernie are much more likely to say that they are certain that they're going to be voting for him compared to other candidates. And so Bernie having much more consistency, I think, partially leads to that effect. But his base has been sort of slowly rising in Iowa. And I do think, by the way, that Bernie will outperform the polls this time around, much like he did last time, especially in a caucus state like Iowa. And essentially two reasons for that. First, just the kind of classic voter enthusiasm point. Bernie Sanders, especially with his large donor base, which is, I talked about in my Q4 fundraising video, has expanded from last time. Now he has, at present, I think he has somewhere between 1.6 and 1.7 million donors. I just gave to Bernie, I gave him like a week ago, gave him $20 before the Q4 ending. You bet your ass I'm gonna go out there and vote for him. I gave the dude $20. He better win, and I got to do my part to make that happen. So, it's kind of the foot in the door effect, right? You get someone to do smaller things, and then you build up, and then you get them to, do a big thing like go out and caucus for him, which takes a lot more time than it does to go out and vote. And now the second reason why I think Bernie is really going to outperform the polls this time around is just, look here, let me show you. So look at voters for Yang and Gabbard. Yang 2.3, Gabbard at 2. Maybe in a few of those, like voting areas, they might cross the 15%. But my guess is in a lot of them, they probably won't. That's not to say I don't think that they'll do good. I think they will do good. In fact, my best guess is both of them probably will outperform the polls a bit. For the same voter enthusiasm reasons that Bernie voters will. But think about it though. Most of the precinct areas probably won't make it to 15%. And who's their second choice, right? So in a caucus, if you don't make 15% in a particular area, your voters are released, and you can go out and vote for you go for another person. Who are they going to go? You think that they're going to go caucus with Joe Biden? Maybe one or two of them. No, they're going to go and caucus with Bernie, and so Bernie is really going to be able to push it over the top. Now, the last thing I do want to briefly bring up is that it's not sort of game, set, match yet. We've still got to fight for it, as with anything worth having. You can see here that's Biden there in the green. Biden has been going up significantly, and you see the same effect also in New Hampshire with Biden going up quite a bit. Now, this is because Biden has been spending a ton of money and putting in a ton more resources in those early states, because he wants to avoid that disaster scenario where he loses Iowa, he loses New Hampshire, possibly Nevada, and then might even have to fight tooth and nail in a state like South Carolina. He wants to avoid that at all costs, and so they've been really trying to invest a significant amount of resources in Iowa and in New Hampshire in order to avoid that scenario. Again, personally, I'm not sure that that's gonna be enough, because, like I said, I think when it comes to caucusing, the advantage is definitely Bernie for both of those reasons that I mentioned. So I don't know that it's going to be enough, but that is something to look out for. It's not game, set, match. If you live in Iowa, make sure you go out and caucus for Bernie, and consider donating for him too. Anyway, that's the video. If you liked it, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thanks.